Alrighty, so if you couldn't already tell, I'm an extremely unprofessional YouTuber, and I completely misread when Demon Slayer Swordsmith Village Arc is premiering. I thought this week was the first episode, and I somehow missed like all spoilers on social media or posts about it, that being, I read the manga, so I can't really be spoiled, but yeah, I completely missed this. So this is going to be a review of both episodes 1 and 2 of the Swordsmith Village Arc, which I watched today. So starting off with episode 1, the opening scenes of this episode are just masterful. You could tell why they used it for that combination movie they released a few weeks ago or months ago. It's pure just movie quality levels of animation, and we see the Upper Moons meeting picking up right where we left off. And everyone's dynamic with each other is super interesting. This long drawn-out sequence of Akaza traveling through the Infinity Castle to get to where the others are, like, it's just really cool and visually stunning. Onto the actual characters themselves, though, we see that Akaza clearly does not like Doma, and I did a few videos on this, which I'll link below. Another thing I took note of that I found really interesting was the dynamic between the different Upper Moons and Muzan, as honestly, like, Doma and Kokushibo don't seem too intimidated by Muzan, to the point where Kokushibo's even like, I don't really know how, we could have found Kaguya, because Muzan's upset that Kaguya has still been in hiding and that family is continuing the fight against demons. And Kokushibo's like, yeah, like, don't know what I could have done, honestly. So I thought that was kind of funny, showing that he's so powerful, and while yes, he's still a subordinate of Muzan, he doesn't feel like in threat or anything. He feels like he can speak what he thinks. Following this is Doma, who clearly also doesn't really give a shit. He's kind of just playful and like, oh, when have I failed you? Like, I don't track people down. That's not my thing. So I thought that was funny. It just shows how far gone a lot of these demons are. And Muzan says something interesting, that he knew Gyutaro would lose because of his attachment to his sister, and that's what held him back. And he said that the demons would be picked off in order of the humanity that they have left. I thought that was insightful and a really interesting comment by Muzan. Enough summarizing it. All these character relationships and dynamics are right there for you to see. I don't want to just, tell you about them. But as far as my opinion on it, it was all done like perfectly, better than the manga, exceeding it as per usual with Demon Slayer. Moving on to the rest of the episode, we have some really funny comedic moments with that of like Inosuke when Tanjiro finally wakes up. Inosuke's just sitting there on the ceiling, and it's a really just awesome scene. I love the comedy in Demon Slayer. If you stay to the end of this episode too, there's a cool little post-credit scene that they usually do, and this one is kind of heartwarming as well. It explains that Inosuke was watching Tanjiro for like the last day from his ceiling, telling him to wake up. So yeah, more of just Inosuke being kind of hard to read, but he seemingly means well nonetheless. Moving on from this, we find out about Tanjiro's sword and how he needs to get a new one, and he goes to the Swordsmith village. Here we have some scenes with Mitsuri as well as Genya. Excited to see Genya back in action here. All of these character dynamics are really great, and we hear that the person who makes Tanjiro's sword, the crazy swordsmith, is missing right now, so that's kind of one of these mysteries. Mitsuri is also super kind to Tanjiro, and Nezuko, of course, that's not to be surprised with her, considering she is a very kind and heartwarming person. She supports him and also tells him that there's a secret in the village or something he can find to help him get stronger. And then flash forward to the end of the episode, we find Muchiro in the woods kind of bullying this little swordsmith, or at least seemingly bullying him. He's asking him for a key to something. Now transferring into the next episode, we find out that Muchiro wants this key to fight this Yoriichi training puppet with 6 limbs, and the reason it has 6 limbs is because it was modeled after Yoriichi's crazy swordsmanship, and they thought, the makers of this were like, oh, the only way we could even begin to replicate this is by giving this puppet 6 limbs. So this is a training thing that Muchiro uses, and we see how strong Muchiro is, as he's seemingly really unfazed. He's just kind of going through the motions. He ends up breaking his sword and taking one of the arms of this Yoriichi puppet with the sword on it. He eventually leaves, and then we get a long, funny training montage with Tanjiro training days on end with this little kid, the little swordsmith guy, as well as the Yoriichi puppet. He's without food and water, and there's just so many great comedic scenes that you have to see for yourself. I really enjoyed it a lot. The voice acting really brings it to life from the manga and makes it even funnier to see and hear, which is a great thing about animation in general. Eventually, Tanjiro is able to land an actual blow on this puppet, and it breaks open to reveal a sword, a really old sword from the Sengoku era, which is about 300 years previous to the current story. And that's where episode 2 leads off. I kind of briefly went over that. I didn't want to summarize too much because, again, I want people to watch it for themselves. This is more so just my opinion, but both these episodes far exceed the manga and were done like super well. The Demon Slayer anime never has failed fail to disappoint. It just keeps getting better and better, and I'm really excited to see the rest of the season, especially with more action and people like Genya coming more into the limelight. One other thing we got to see is that while Tanjiro was still in his coma, he was getting these memories from his ancestors of Yoriichi, which I won't spoil too much for anime onlys, but again, that's just another cool thing. Zenitsu's also off right now, so if you can't tell, the Swordsmith Village is going to be missing Zenitsu and Inosuke, but it makes up for it with characters like Genya, and it's not too long of an arc from what I'm remembering in the manga, but we'll see how long it takes them to animate it. But yeah, really amazing first 2 episodes. I enjoyed them a lot. Comment below what you think, and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you on the next one.